Hello, I'm Ellie Gibson.
And I'm Keza Macdonald.
Welcome to Extra Life, the video games podcast for people who like video games. I'm still working on it, Keza.
It's still not great.
I haven't. Perhaps our guest can help us come up with a better sort of tagline. He's used to saying that sort of thing. It's Dara O'Briain.
Hello.
How do you think we should introduce the podcast?
Yeah, the video game podcast for people who like video games. I feel there's a redundancy.
When we're talking to Manny, when we did Go 8-Bit, every time the stage revolved, you were supposed to say, let's go 8-bit or something, and then you didn't want to say the same thing every time, so you just started doing ones, and at one point you said, let's revolve the stage, which I put it to you is up there with the video game podcast for people who like video games in terms of creativity and like effort that's gone into thinking
all
of
right,
that.
guys,
that
all right.
was on a theme. I was riffing, and then I was doing the hyper deadpan one.
We all know that Dara is best known, clearly, for starring alongside Ellie in Go 8-Bit. Co-starring. Yes, co-starring.
I saw that in a
8-Bit.
biography of me the other day, someone being co-host of Go 8-Bit, and I was like, to be fair, the show was called Dara O'Brien's Go 8-Bit. It wasn't called Dara O'Briain and Ellie Gibson's Go 8-Bit. I think I can let you be the star of that one. Have you done anything else of note?
Little enough, to be honest. I do mainly podcasts, which is because that's the only economy left anymore. That's the only gig left in the gig economy. It turns out, really sharply, it turns out, no useful skills. That thought experiment, that Gedenken experiment that we did of what would I do if there was, that happened, and nothing. I got nothing translatable, bar mediocre parenting, and that was all I could do.
I think this often about the coming apocalypse, or indeed the current apocalypse. Like, what use is a video games journalist truly going to be?
Honestly, I felt it was an industry that would have had more of a moment.
Do you know what? Actually, it has been quite good for video games because everyone's trapped inside, obviously. People are playing tons more games and people are looking for loads more information on them and loads more good opinions. So there is that.
Yeah.
I do actually feel more useful than I usually do, considering I usually feel about as useful as the chocolate teapot. It's a step up.
But the one thing I feel is that there was even more potential for them to become very central in the entertainment economy to a certain extent. A kind of sense of like, this is its moment to go. I'm sorry, you're looking for interactive entertainment from the house. I think we're exactly the people.
Stuff Zoom. Why don't you come to your meetings in Red Dead Online?
Yeah, exactly. And
it's a bit like books is the thing. Video games, they take ages to make.
Yes,
and so it's like there's a years or 3 years lag really between what's happening and then what happens in the games, because they take 2,000 people and 3 years now to make a big game. Anyway,
yeah, but it's not like there's no video games out there about a sort of terrible sort of virus that takes over
true,
the world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Really
there's not a catalogue of shit we could be playing.
Yeah, it's
actually interesting. In the way that people all went and watched Contagion in the first weeks of the pandemic, right? Did a lot of people buy Left 4 Dead? Like
Last of Us.
Yeah. I suppose
Last of Us Part 2 came out, a month into lockdown, and everyone's like,
true.
yep, okay, this is the game for now.
But I can't walk on the path of the right because I'm wrong.
What are you doing, kiddo?
I'm gonna find and I'm gonna kill every last one of them.
There was this big fight, basically, between Animal Crossing and The Last of Us 2 for which got to be the game of the pandemic.
Your attention, please. The Nook Inc. Getaway Package charter flight will soon be arriving at the deserted island.
I think that's very much depends on which person, whether you're an overfunctioner or an underfunctioner, which category. You're just like, because Helen and I, my comedy partner Helen, we went completely the opposite way. I was like, right, we're having the news on 24 hours a day and I'm not checking at 3 a.m. to see if there's a vaccine. Is there a vaccine yet? Whereas she was just
baking
like,
bread,
la, la,
perfecting
la.
your doll.
And she's just put ABBA on repeat for like 24 hours a day. She just doesn't want to hear the thing. And I feel like it's that with games. You're either an Animal Crossing or a Last of Us. Because the underfunctioner is just pretending it's not happening.
Yes.
And living in the little happy
world. Whereas the person who, for example, pick a random hypothetical who checks the Johns Hopkins website a global chart of deaths every night before he goes to sleep. Yeah, Last of Us.
Reads it out to his kids after the bedtime story.
Honestly, every device I have suggests it. Do you want to have a look at the Johns Hopkins website?
Yeah. The algorithm has learned your morbid streak.
This is what he likes. So let's send him more of the Johns Hopkins global pandemic map, like merchandise.
Your Instagram targeted ads are screwed.
It's all that stuff.
I'll do no spoilers for The Last of Us 2.
Spoiler is it turns into Animal Crossing. You end up on this island and
The zombies all just drown and it's fine. And you get
Joel
to just
offers you a mortgage and you've got 800,000 bells that you have to come up with by the time the zombies murder you. Yeah, it's good. That's
at some point, if we probably get around to it, like I will give you a list of the games I have yet to finish that I really need you not to.
How many games have you ever finished, start to finish, do you think?
I think about 10 in total.
Yeah. I would say probably it's about 20, but as a professional games journalist for over 20 years, that's probably...
Yeah, but see, this thing that blew my mind is how would a professional... Because you have to go and review another thing. How can you possibly get through these things enough to give a review of them?
Well, after you've been doing it for a while, you start to know whether a game's any good after about 5 hours.
Yes,
and then very occasionally one will turn around on you, but usually you know the deal. After a few hours. I mean, generally, it's a good idea to finish games before you review them, and like you do what you can. But they're so long.
How can you? How could you finish Red Dead, or how could you finish Skyrim?
See, this is my problem with open world games. It's too much freedom. I just want someone to tell me where to go. I don't like when I'm reading a novel. I don't randomly skip round, and I'll reach page 347 now, and then go back to stuff. How do you feel about that?
No, I do. I like the idea of an open world that you walk around. I like the idea of touristing a bit. I like the idea of swinging in New York as Spider-Man and seeing places that I have visited and getting nostalgic for them in the middle of Spider-Man.
Just look at your photos.
But
can't climb them in your photos.
But I do like a sort of a quasi-linear element of here's the next thing we're going to do. I mean, not quite sit in the back of the Jeep and shoot things for a while until the Jeep stops moving.
That's the two extremes, isn't it? You get Call of Duty style where basically if you turn around in the level it's just completely blank. You've got to move forward at all times. Have you ever tried walking backwards in one of those levels?
No. Does it not just redraw in?
It's nothing. It's complete blank slate basically. You just walk past through a bunch of empty rooms, and sometimes it stops you physically from moving backwards by putting you in the back of a truck, like you say, and saying, shoot this, move the reticule around.
Philosophically, that's quite, and all time like a shark, or you die, you move forward or die. I started playing Portal again with my 9-year-old a couple of days ago.
Excellent age for Portal.
Fabulous age. And because about 5 minutes in, he went, what's this about a cake? And you're going, oh, lovely. Oh, you've been suckered in. It's great. And you get the whole reveal, everything.
Welcome to the final test. When you are done, you will drop the device in the Equipment Recovery Annex.
I think Portal's one of those games that you can recommend to literally anyone.
Yeah.
We do what we must because we can. For the good of all of us, except the ones who are dead.
Portal's the game with the gun that shoots portals that you can move through, so you can shoot like a portal at the ceiling and one at the wall and then fall through the ceiling if you walk through the wall. And at first it seems really confusing, but it becomes so intuitive so quickly that, a 9-year-old can figure it out quite fast.
Sorry about the mess. I've really let the place go since you killed me.
But I'm only training him up so I can play the 2-player one on Portal 2, which I never got to play. I never had anyone to play it with, and I have basically bred somebody.
You've bred a player too, is what you're saying.
I've hatched them, and I've raised them to this point so I can finally play the 2-player game.
I've got a 9-year-old boy, and he just wants to play bloody Fortnite. How'd you get them?
Yeah, because I don't play Fortnite with him, but it's tough to get them off. Because the island always has one of his school friends on it at all times.
Yeah.
The extent that I want to go on the island at 3 a.m. and just see if Theo's still there. And go, hello Theo,
there's that one kid with the slightly not can't be bothered parents. It's just there at 5:06 a.m.
But insane. He's on the island at night, and then going, you hear? The island speaks to me at night. The rhythms of the island are different at night. Man, you got to get some sleep, Theo. There's a genuine Theo. He's a lovely kid. But there's always somebody. He picks up the switch anytime to press on Fortnite. Somebody will be there. From his class.
But that's basically why I let Charlie start playing it, because I was like, it's a 12, he's 9, but then it's a cartoon, isn't it, basically? But also, he is socialising.
Yeah,
it's a place where kids go to hang out Fortnite more than a game.
Yeah, it's much healthier than when I was in my bedroom with the New Zealand story, like not saying a word for 8 hours at a time in the 80s.
Fortnite was the first game to make me feel really, really old.
Really?
In that I was watching my stepson play it, and I tried, and I can't do it. I think because they all grew up with Minecraft, they have this way of understanding the building and the shooting. Like, he just walks around and structures just appear. I can't build things and shoot things at the same time. I can do one or the other. But like in Fortnite, you're supposed to build yourself like walls to hide behind as you're running around. I can't do it.
Just hide in the toilet. I got down to the last 3, just hide in the toilet.
Myself and Ed Byrne used to play a really cheap Chinese version of it called Last One Standing or something like that, like whatever. And it's a thing that we found. We had a weekend that we're both coincidentally touring in Newcastle, and then we both finished our gigs. They're both on Saturday night. He set off a little earlier than me because I just do more, I give more. And so eventually I got hooked, because the council needs, there's rules. So we were on different parts of the motorway playing this thing. I thought this is incredible. This is the way of the future. We're playing a Chinese knockoff version of Fortnite and hunting each other on an island. It was just
the way this virus is going, that literally is the future. We're just all in separate little pods, just playing things from China.
I thought games would be bigger now. And I know they're already huge. I know but I just felt they'd be more central, that people would have gone, well, this is their time because we're all in this together, so let's all play. Name any casual game where the whole family can gather around, and there'd be more of that kind of.
I think there's still a generational thing with video games, isn't there?
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know where the cutoff is.
We are gamers, and we have children who are gamers, so there shouldn't be. Now we're like a generation and a half into this.
I feel like the cutoff is 40. Everyone under 40 plays video games. Once you get above 40, some people play video games, and once you get to about 60, nobody plays them at all.
My dad's got a PS4, and he's not left the house for like 6 months. He's been quite into it, but it used to be that I used to go around his house and sort it out for him. He would ring me up, I'm stuck on Horizon Zero Dawn. Can you come round? I'd be like, yeah, here you go, Dad. Blip, blip, blip. Yeah, done. All right, fine. And move on. I've
been trying to get my parents into video games because they retired. They're in their 70s. And I'm like, what else are you going to do? Why don't you try some awesome video games? It's never. I bought my mum. I bought my
curve. How do you get them? It's like I remember when the Wii U. The Wii. Before Wii. What was the one with just the
Wii?
The Wii. Yeah, the original Wii. And that was so intuitive and so lovely. I remember my wife. We'd play various silly games. Like there's a electronic ping pong. I remember one stage there was a target shooting things in the first one, like whatever. And they're all
bowling,
great fun. Sitting on the couch, do all this stuff. And she said, "Oh well, what's on these things?" Pointing to the actual big machines, the big grown. I said, "Oh, you control them with this." Handing her, I think that's 17 buttons. And just this look of, why would I want to? What is this? So I'm looking around and I'm moving, but I'm also, and then there's other buttons around the back of it.
But when he picks up the new Wii remote from Nintendo, he's Mike the Warrior Superstar Athlete Man. The new Wii from Nintendo. Your whole family will be Warrior Superstar athletes.
What's this like?
I know a lot of people who can't be getting on with twin stick controls like that, because I think people who play video games are generally really, really bad at recommending games to people who don't.
Yes.
Because like to us, the language is like learning language, isn't it? We just know. But the major barrier I'm finding when I try and, like someone who doesn't play games but they're interested, is twin stick controls, looking and moving at the same time. Lots of people can't do that, at least not without loads of practice. iPad is a good shout. I got my mum a DS back in the day, because my mum's always wanted a dog, but they live in a flat and they can't have one. So I got her Nintendogs.
That's the same. I would say, right, Nintendogs.
I got her Nintendogs, and she did seem to enjoy it, and she'd heard about that Dr. Kawashima's brain training game where you have to do maths. I don't know how they became a multi-million seller, but a game where you have to do maths, and she was at the age where she's started to worry about dementia, so she's like, I'm going to buy that, I'll get that game. But she went to HMV and the bastards sold her a whole nother DS because she didn't understand you could just get another game. So she ended up buying. She's like, they're very expensive, aren't they, these games? I'm like, well, I mean, yeah, they're less expensive than I was when I was a kid, though. It used to be 60 quid. She's like, sorry? Because she just spent £300 on a whole new DS and the game.
Fall Guys is a very good cross-generational game.
What's that really fast running?
Speedrunners.
Speedrunners.
Yeah.
Like we play that a fair bit, and the I will punch you in the face even though I love you, a game where you're both chefs and the truck keeps moving apart.
Overcooked. Overcooked. That's a great game.
It's an amazing game. But I thought that would be, because we did a lot of board games. Board games became a thing, and there was a lot of family time around it. But it sort of never translated into let's all sit around the screen and play.
I reckon there's a golden age when your kids are little where they actually want to play games with you.
Yeah, well,
and then they'll get to a certain age where they just wouldn't be seen dead playing any game that you would recommend or be near. And it's like it's the same with, I think it's the same as your parents' music. Like for teens now, the idea of listening to your parents' music is cringe, right? So the idea of playing your parents' games that they were into is like, oh god, no.
It's bizarre, the notion of them going, flicking to the disc boxes and going, oh look at this Batman.
mentioned Portal. Are there any other games that kind of I'm going to educate my children about video games, and this is the sort of core literature?
Syllabus.
I would say Batman.
Yeah, syllabus, that's the word.
Batman will get him in because he likes that world anyway. But I'm not sure, could you bring it back to Halo? We played Halo, actually, himself and a little friend of his. We dug it out in something and had to go, because I remember just hours of Ed used to batter the hell out of each other.
Oh man, original Halo.
Yeah.
I used to have such cool parties, Dara, you wouldn't believe, where people would bring their Xboxes to my house when I was a teenager. We'd LAN up, yeah. We'd get 4 TVs. We'd lug TVs from neighbours and stuff and connect them all up with...
for a soft drink or something.
Oh, it was great. And we'd sit
here in the
and play...
rooftop overlooking...
It was not quite that high end. Okay. It was just a bunch of gothy teenagers playing Halo all night. But it was super fun. And having to, I explain this now and I feel 400 years old, having to say we used to have to use actual cables to connect all the televisions together and all of the Xboxes to be able to shoot each other in the face.
Is there a game that you're like, no, that's my medium? Because I'm superbly good at Tomb Raider and Aladdin on the SNES, which I proved on that television show. That's where when I'm playing those games, I'm like, no, this is what I was born to do. What is that game for you?
Oh God, no, yeah. There's a kind of an element of pace. If it gets too frantic, then my thumbs go crazy and I can't do it. And I don't want to have to think about also having to do something else. So I suppose the ones that had a longer kind of Uncharted, whatever, ones where I could just. If I could just get a little bit further, then I'll have reached some sort of checkpoint.
Yeah.
That was I quite enjoyed in the Modern Warfare, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, where the checkpoints really were 10 feet ahead.
Yeah, it's useful that, isn't it?
I was like, oh God, I would
friendly.
exhaustedly collapse over the line onto each checkpoint, and then I'm slowly, attritionally, and it was like World War One. It was I'm just moving the trench like 3 feet forward, and I would slowly grind down the Kaiser.
What about when you were a kid? Was there one game that you...
No, I was never. I was never particularly great at stuff like that. So no, I was never. Come to my house and you'll receive a kicking. There's a game called Quo Vadis, which is in the Commodore 64. And it was famous because it had 1,000 screens.
1,000 screens.
That was the bizarre that was the benchmark for this.
Was that on the back of the box?
Oh,
and again, compare that to books. Imagine I've written a book that's 12,000 pages long. It must be amazing.
Yes, and all the screens were really samey, and they were the same really limited colour scheme. There was no save points, so the 1,000 screen, whatever the thing was a long way away, and I never got anywhere near it. And fire pits and bats, it was awful. But I lent it to somebody, and they immediately beat my score on it, within the first evening of having it. So my dream world, my ideal world is those single player ones where there's a variable difficulty level. It's sometimes the ones where it keeps reminding you. You can reset the difficulty level. Did you know that?
Hey, look, if you're finding this hard,
that comes up, not like shuttle between different weapons by pressing circle. No. Do you want to make it easier? I'm just saying, do you want to make it no, okay.
Yeah, in Super Mario, there was a bit where if you failed enough, you basically became invincible.
Yeah, they give you an invincible. Yeah. And then there's, I think, another, if you failed at that, because you couldn't do the jumping bit, you were invincible, you couldn't do the jumping bit, there was another key that you just put you at the end.
Do you want to just skip this bit?
Maybe this is not your
You can
thing.
Be invincible and you can fly. Go on.
Maybe this is not your medium. Maybe just go and do something else.
You're probably like a music kid, maybe.
Yeah. When we were filming Go 8-Bit, I used to get in trouble quite a lot in rehearsal because I would be playing Cooking Fever, and then I would miss the bit where I was supposed to say something off the auto cue or something.
Yeah, we were presenting the show. You were co-hosting the show,
you were literally
remember?
playing it under the table.
That's why we had to rename the show, because I was lifting so much of that burden because your head was down on whatever tablet you had.
Were you playing under the table like in school, like under the desk?
Well, I had a little desk like Richard Osman, didn't I? So I had a little computer. So but it was not very professional. But I've broken my addiction, Dara. Okay. That's the good news. I'm over Cooking Fever. That's gone now. I have moved on to Cooking Frenzy, which
feels like that's a step up. Yeah. Even the name of it implies
fever to frenzy.
I remember trying to sell you on Cooking Fever, and it just not working. But I think you're going to like Cooking Frenzy. So what they've done is they've tried to differentiate themselves massively from Cooking Fever. First of all, by calling it Frenzy, and then also by having slightly different restaurants. So there's not a French restaurant like in Cooking Fever. There's a duck restaurant. Which just serves confit of duck.
Okay, right. 2 ducks? Because that would be really messed up.
To human people.
On the PS2, there was a cooking game, and it started off like you're making hamburgers. for a hamburger restaurant. But as you got through the game, it got more and more surreal and weird. Like at one point you started making sandwiches for ghosts and so on and so on until eventually you're like in space. It's like the Katamari Damacy of cooking games.
The Katamari Damacy is the Katamari Damacy of knowing a reference but never actually having experienced the thing yourself, and thus always feeling that you're a bluffer within this hobby. Because I have heard of Katamari, and I know it's a big rolling thing. I've never played. It was I was never even aware what platform it was on.
It's a PlayStation. It was PlayStation.
Was it?
Yeah, you're right. It's a rolling game. You start off small. You're a little
and
dude
then you
rolling.
Pick up the things.
Yeah, so you start off rolling around in like someone's bedroom, and you're rolling up like pencil shavings and stuff, and then eventually you're rolling up planets and universes into one glorious ball.
It's like the Abu
For the Prince of
Souffle
Space.
or Jean Andalou of people who like cinema, of going, oh, well, I could carry off a brief conversation about this because I've seen enough of its discussion about it to be able to, of course, and then I'm not thrown by that reference, but yet I do always feel an emptiness inside.
Do you know what's on the cover of Retro Gamer this month? Fucking Guitar Hero.
Wow.
I feel so depressed.
God.
Yeah, it's 15 years old.
Do you remember that we had to throw out the Guitar Hero stuff? That was a moment. Oh, these drums. Why do I have a set of drums in my house?
I swear to God, I was obsessed with those games, and I had a whole, I had a small flat. I was 20 when they all came out, or younger, so I had literally, my minuscule flat was full of plastic instruments. I had DJ Hero decks, I had Band Hero drums, I had Guitar Hero, everything else.
I had Rock Band for the Wii and the Xbox or the PlayStation.
And that's two sets of drums.
Two sets of the whole banana.
That's right.
Everything.
We only just got rid finally of the Rock Band drums from our house, having accepted we're probably not going to play it again. Yeah. And then immediately regretted it when we remembered the existence of Beatles Rock Band.
And I had I even had we talked about this, but I even had the Tony Hawk Ride wheelless skateboard for when that was a thing.
Oh, wow.
And I remember going, what do I do with... And I just put it in the charity shop, I'm ashamed to say, 'cause I couldn't put it in the bin, but I was like, I'll just put it in the charity. And I just had this image of these poor septuagenarian ladies going, what's this for? It's like a skateboard, but it's got no wheels.
Did you put the disc with it? Or did you...
I did put the disc with it at least, so maybe someone hopefully could have worked
I like
it
the
out.
idea of that being a mysterious cursed object that someone picked up and had to try and figure out what the hell it was.
Trying to screw wheels onto it desperately anyway.
I don't Wii Fit.
I've still got my Wii Fit.
Yeah, I think it's somewhere in the house.
Yeah.
And I had a health kick once where it graphed some weight loss for me.
Did you do the yoga?
Oh no,
things?
I just use it as a
scale.
And it would put it on and they would go measuring. It was
Nintendo
really
make
weird.
even weight loss cute.
And then there was a graph, and I lost 3.5 stone, and it never stopped calling me obese. Because it's
tragic.
made for tiny Japanese people, and I'm there lumbering in like a troll or something, or some sort of large ogre, and I'm standing on things measuring, like whatever. No human is of this size. I think I only played a couple of times the game where you lean forward to ski or lean back to ski or whatever. They wasn't
just tilting.
Stuff.
Yeah, the tilting game.
Like it wasn't great as a thing.
When did your sort of gaming start? Was it the first game you can remember playing?
Combat on the Atari 2600, which accurately mapped wartime combat by making tanks fight in these kind of like landscapes of L shapes, and if they fired their cannons, it bounced off.
Oh yeah,
in the series, they fired
famously a
series
hazard.
Huge rubberized cannonballs that would just bounce off things and eventually reach the other side.
So basically like a game of squash if it was grenades, if it was just like bouncing grenades.
Actually, probably not. It's got real tennis.
Okay.
Because it was kind of irregular shaped areas, but with tanks. So it was real tennis with tanks. If it had been sold as real tennis with tanks, it would have been. Back when the Atari would be, it was the oak panelled one, the one that had the wooden. But what I've always loved is they would have an oil painting of what the game in their imagination looked like. It was the absolute high point of contrast between what the cover art is and what the the game looks like, because the game was just the most rudimentary.
It was 9 pixels.
Yeah. But they went all out on sweat on the brow of the tank commander in the dim light as he's struggling the battle. He's moving giant levers everywhere, and from that to most hideous, oversold in that way.
Journey with me to the year 2019. The person sitting in this chair has the power to alter the course of history. Conflicts are now settled with remote-controlled robot tanks. Of course, it'll probably never come to this. After all, who could take the pressure? Could you? For the Atari 2600 robot tank designed by Alan Miller for Activision.
Probably more seriously, I had a VIC-20 after that, which it was nobody's first choice of games platform. Really very rudimentary stuff. 3.5K.
Why buy just a video game from Atari or Intellivision? Invest in the wonder computer of the 1980s for under $300. The Commodore VIC-20.
Wow. That's a whole Word document right there.
That's it. Well, it's the header on a Word document. And then Commodore 64, and so I was Commodore 64.
But how did the civil war of the early 80s computers play out in the playground?
Well, in Ireland it was less, obviously, because in Ireland we didn't have any kind of nationalist kind of patriotic zeal towards the Sinclair Spectrum, so the numbers shifted more towards Commodore. So we aspired to America. So the Commodore 64 was a more common thing. The other one was the BBC Micro, which was around the same time, but again without any kind of direct link to the BBC. That wasn't as popular in Ireland.
But of course, after the First Great War, we all said never again.
Yes.
And then the great Battle of the Axis versus the Allies, Sega versus Nintendo.
Yeah.
Where did you stand?
I was in university at that time and living in a bubble, and I never took part in it at all. Totally passed me by. On the list of things that totally passed me by, for 5 years I just disappeared into university life and I saw nothing in the world outside. Take That. I missed Take That completely. Absolutely didn't even register they existed, and then came out and people were covering.
What university were you at?
I was in UCD in Dublin. I mean, the world existed, but like it was one of these campuses you just fall into and you end up doing all those things.
So this is quite interesting then.
And I had no place with the telly that I would have a games machine, and there was women in my life for the first time. We had other things to do. Okay? It was.
Now you invented sex. But
these flats had no tellies anyway. The search was to find a bed, not do you have a home entertainment system as well? I'm not very demanding with the situation. Like, this is working for me already, so there's no need. I'm not going to put an extra rider on this particular situation.
Was it the PlayStation that brought you back in?
It was because I took a job as a children's television presenter and decided to see if I could blag a PlayStation. So I came back on board in 1995 for Tomb Raider and Tekken 2.
But that, just to go back to the Sega Nintendo, because that means you're in a unique position, Dara, because you're a neutral observer. You don't have a nostalgic attachment to either one.
To either of them.
So we can finally have an answer to the great question, which is better, Sonic or Mario?
Oh, Mario. Mario's far better.
Of course, Ellie.
Wow.
I was always left with Sonic with a sense of, were there other bits? Was there another? Could I have gone a different way?
There's always so many bits that you miss because all you do is hold right and hope for the best.
Yeah. It was I thought it was like a Victorian thing that you just set it off and it did the thing and then it stopped.
Like a pachinko machine.
Yeah.
Just put the balls in the top and watch them fall down.
There's skill to it. There's no skill to it.
You just press in one direction and then it ends.
You have to jump.
Occasionally.
But if you hit an enemy, you don't even die. You just lose all your rings.
He would shed loads of gold coins. I was never sure why. And then he would start running again.
He shat gold coins. That's why he shat himself.
Shat goes the gold coins. And then he'd start running again. It was just like, I got to get to the bathroom. It's on the other side of this thing. But I didn't quite make it. So I'm going to ship my gold coins here. And then I'm going to start running again and get to the other side of it and stop. I never got what the point was supposed to be of it. You know, you'd wind the crank and the Zoe trope would start. That's all it was. It was a horse spinning around on one of those Zoe tropes and you're looking in, oh look, the horse is jumping now and now it's over. I have occasionally opened the Mario stuff for bits of it, but it's very difficult to recreate somebody else's childhood. If I wasn't there at the time, it's really difficult. On the Go 8-bit, they'd bring in various Sega and Nintendo games that were huge, a big deal, like whatever the thing. And I'd be smiling, going, okay, I'll give them a go. But like all I'm seeing now is like a slightly different control
this
thing.
Is it.
I would love to be able to open these things up, like whatever, because I have various big machines that have all the games on them. But I find it very difficult to go back and without the nostalgic thrill, it is like walking through somebody else's childhood. Like,
I think that's unique to games. In that games were such that if you try and play an old game now, if you didn't have any nostalgic association with it, a lot of them are just crap. It's not like you read a book from 50 years ago and go, oh, do you know what?
I wouldn't show my child the Carry On films, which I enjoyed very much as an 8-year-old. So, sorry to interrupt you guys, but we've actually our special guest has arrived, Keza.
Are they here already?
Seen the should I go and?
Off you go.
Yeah.
No, this is quite a big deal.
Oh,
I must warn you.
All right.
That it takes us a lot of effort to get these guests on, so we've got to try and be professional and not. Like...
I hope he's not the guy who wrote Sonic, because that feels like I've ruined that.
Oh well, here they are. Hello, hi.
Hello. It's me, Jeffrey Namco Bandai.
Jeffrey Namco Bandai. It's not the guy who wrote Sonic. That's lucky, because I thought it might be Jeffrey Sega, who's.
Yeah, no, Jeff Sega's my mate.
Yeah,
obviously back in Japan. I've just flown in. Nice to meet you. Weren't you in Ellie Gibson's Go 8-Bit? Anyway, I'm a hugely influential and rich and powerful video games publisher, and I'd like to invite you right now, Dara O'Briain from Ellie Gibson's Go 8-Bit, to pitch your very own video game idea. Go!
Oh, well, picture the scene. I'm
really sorry, Jeff. I've got to apologise. It's terribly unprofessional.
It's a bit unprofessional, but it's
Jeff,
okay.
Jeff, you've got to hold me on this, right? There's an egg. The egg has legs. The egg, what does an egg need? The egg needs warmth. The egg needs warmth. The warmth is at the other end of a table, and the egg has to get from one end of the table to the other end of the table. But there's buses on the table, Jeff. Where do the buses come from?
Okay,
who knows? But you can either be on the buses or you can be hit by the buses. But sometimes, if you're lucky, it'll be one of the red buses are worth twice as much as the green buses as well. That's important. Store that away for later. And then it's a series of roundabouts on the table, but some of them are slippy, and the egg's confused because what's the egg know? The egg doesn't know anything. So sometimes the egg gets turned around in the roundabout and ends up going the wrong way around. And you don't control the egg. No, the egg is not part. No, or the buses. You just watch it. You just watch it happen.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I think it's going to be huge. And you can see all this happening, and you go, no, the egg. You're going the wrong way, and like you're really invested in it, like whatever. But sometimes, Jeff, the egg dies.
Wait,
quite okay.
What happens after the egg dies? Does it start again, or is that the game over forever?
It always starts again.
Oh man!
Sometimes it starts on the bus, and sometimes in the roundabout. You can move the roundabouts.
Okay, that's interesting.
We've just decided that.
This is going to make people cry. That famous aim that all video games should have.
I'm feeling quite weepy myself.
Yeah.
Yes, it sounds quite good, Dara. But I'm thinking, obviously, how can we make it more contemporary? Can we back not an egg? What about a ball, a sort of yellow ball with a gaping maw? Something like that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And I'm not convinced by the sort of tabletop thing. What about a maze?
Maybe contemporary in some way.
Listen, it's contemporary for Namco Bandai. If it ain't broke.
No, I like it. I have another idea.
Okay.
Just people's lives, ordinary real people's lives.
Right.
Real people's lives, but like FIFA, but like for non-FIFA stuff, for like just accountants and stuff. But we get real accountants and we get their stats, and then you can pick your accountancy team of the best accountants on the accountants, and then we make footballers play that.
Okay.
So rather than us playing as footballers play as us.
I like that, but what if we set it in a maze?
Okay. I return to my first idea, the egg.
Okay. What sort of budget are you looking for?
150 million.
150 million lira. Unbelievable.
Couldn't have invested in lira.
Jeffrey,
at the end of the
I've got some bad news for you, Jeffrey.
What's that?
I think your company may have made some bad investments in European currencies.
Well, it's not like that's news to me. Great. Well, thanks. Nice to meet you. Good luck with the show. I heard they told you it was cancelled, but they've actually just rebranded it, and Ellie Gibson's got another 5 series. Yeah, I've got to get back to Japan, guys. Take it easy.
Thanks, Mr. Namco Bandai. Cheers,
Jeffrey Bando Namco.
See you later. Do you know, I'm really disappointed that wasn't Jeffrey Sega, because I reckon he might have been more receptive to the egg thing.
Hi guys, hi. Sorry, in fact, it was just saw Jeff Namco Bandai leaving. Is he right?
Yeah.
I'm a bit worried about the health of his company's finances after that meeting. But
really?
I mean, they seem to have survived this long.
Doesn't he have a very Japanese accent? That was very strange.
Oh no, because that would be racist.
A bit racist, wouldn't it?
It would be. Yeah.
Turns out there's a line.
Yeah, there is a line. Right, so quickfire round. This, Dara, is where we ask you a series of quickfire questions, and you have to respond off the top of your head, and we take your answers and then use them to judge you as a person.
Right.
Okay, Dara. I think we know your answer, but for the sake of argument, Sonic or Mario?
Mario.
Duke Nukem or Wolfenstein?
Oh, Duke Nukem. 3D. Amazing.
Warrior or Wizard?
Warrior, probably, yeah.
Well, you don't like the potion aspect.
No, all that stuff is a bit... I gotta collect some herbs now, do I? And that stuff always gets on my tits. Oh, look, you can put the green herb with the red herb and you're invincible. But with the red herb with the blue herb, your ears grow. I don't know. I don't want to be in that world anyway. I've never fancied the person.
Half-Life or Portal?
Portal, but edging it. Slightly edging. And in fact, I really need to go back and do Half-Life. I used to be able to do really good impersonation of the gravity gun. That was it there.
Very strong.
It's very good, isn't it? But it's a very niche impersonation. You can't open with it. Very neck and neck.
Okay. All right.
Both of my top 5 all time.
Invert the y-axis?
Oh.
We've not even got to the second option yet.
Yeah, well, sorry, was there
not
invert
the y-axis. It's not exactly leave or remain, is it?
Not airplane controls anyway. Yeah.
Just not when you press up and it goes up.
Up means up. That's grand.
That's correct.
Yeah, I've had many arguments with this. With Charlie Brooker in particular, I've had huge arguments with this, where I go, I'm not controlling my neck with the joystick, which is essentially
for later.
what you're saying, which is, yeah.
What are you, Keza? Are you invert the y-axis?
No, I'm not some kind of monster.
They're weird. It's not like I'm running around with like my hands over my eyes, like going, like pretending to be an airplane.
FIFA or Pro Evo?
Up to about 2000 and something Pro Evo. ISS Pro is the best thing ever made, but since then, no, last 10 or so has been FIFA.
Space Invaders or Pac-Man?
Space Invaders.
Oh, don't tell Jeffrey Namco Bandai.
Hang on, I've just had a WhatsApp. Jeffrey Namco Bandai's withdrawn your lira. I'm so sorry.
No, I was going to spend it on some affugata.
Well, there we go.
All right, thank you very much for joining us, Dara. This has been Extra Life.
It was a pleasure.
I haven't got a proper way to sign it
we
off
haven't got
either.
Oh, no, wait, we do.
Oh, no, we do.
Well, hang on, wait.
Do.
Okay, Dara.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
This is...
What we're asking every guest to do is say, let's revolve the stage.
I found the way. Let's go 90 degrees.
There was this idea that came from somewhere, who knows where. We thought we'd say game over to end the show, but Ellie and I just refused to do that because it's demeaning.
Morally wrong.
Yeah, so we're making the guests do it. So do you think you can give us a game over in the style of your choice?
I'll give the... can we say anything about how a game ends? Does it have to be game over?
It has to include the words game and over.
Okay.
Because that's a catchphrase.
Okay.
It's a catchphrase, Dara. It's a catchphrase.
It's too late. You can't now claim game over as a catchphrase.
It's a catchphrase.
TMR.
It's been out there for years.
It's like it's a cool thing we invented, like the words extra life.
It's great.
Yeah. Oh
it's
my
a cool
God,
thing.
it's really good.
Came out of nowhere.
Really fits because often your game ends and you're left wondering, how to express that. Yeah,
you died.
Okay. Snake! Game over.
Yay! That was good. Yeah.
I like the energy.
Yeah,
that was excellent.
I liked it. That's like your catchphrase, snake, is that?
Yeah, I have done that. Yeah, I'm in little legal discussion over because it turns out somebody used it 3 times in a row as well.
Oh, nightmare.
Really,
nightmare.
Yeah, I know. Who could have guessed?
This has been Extra Life. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Extra Life Pod.
Extra Life with Ellie Gibson and Keza Macdonald. Produced by Joel Moss. Assistant producer Alex Harvey. Music by Wayne Shepherd. Extra Life is a Great Big Owl production.
We've had some complaints from the various video game executives featured on this show, and we'd like to just make absolutely clear that Ellie's voices do not represent the actual views of any of the corporations mentioned.
Oh, spoil sport.